recording. All right, we are officially recording. Welcome everyone to. I'm going to call it Mastering the Battlefield this week because we still haven't come up with a name. Unfortunately, tonight Sidolphus will not be joining us. He has something else that has gotten in the way, unfortunately. But that's okay because today we are talking about hydration, or as Neverwinter likes to call it, hydrate or dihydrate. Tonight I will be joined by two lovely, I'm going to say lady. Am I correct in that for one of you? Okay, pronouns are important. Um, well, one lovely lady and then my wife. Um, so we'll start with that. Let's start with, well, actually, why don't you ladies introduce yourselves for me? Um, Bertrice, you can go second.
Well, I guess that means I go first. I am Lokkea. I am from Merk Bottom here in Neverwinter. I believe I was chosen because something about I was a hydrocrat of some sort. I forced people to drink water. I guess that's a thing.
I can honestly say you were one of the best hydration crats I had ever seen. And I think a
Thank
lot of
you.
people had said the same thing.
I appreciate that.
And then Sir Bertrice, I should say. Sir, this is Sir Bertrice of Neverwinter, for those that don't know.
Yeah, Bertrice is fine. First and foremost. So I was not hydration crat, but I do have a lot of knowledge about, hydrating and knowing some of the obstacles that you may not even realize you have and getting that proper hydration. I think Lyle said it earlier. I am his wife, and I am also from Neverwinter. Well, I'm not really from here, but I go here. I go to Neverwinter, and
Yeah.
yeah, I do though. No, so I was selected solely not because I'm his wife, surprisingly, but because there were a lot of concerns after the last event. And I am on our board of directors, and we were trying to find good resolutions. And I decided that rather than wait, I was going to put a proposal together for education and just put it out for people. So that is why I am here.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, both of you. So my understanding is you both kind of have a presentation of your own that you both separately prepared. Is this, I know, Lokkea, that is a fact for you because we just talked about that seconds ago.
Yeah.
Bertrice, I know you posted one on the Facebook a while back. Are you planning to run through that?
We can let Lokia do her thing, and then if I feel like it's still relevant information, I'm happy to share what I can.
Sounds like a great plan. I like that. So let's go ahead and get started. Lokkea, take it away.
Okay. I actually named my presentation Hydrate or Dihydrate because I figured that was appropriate. So I tried to keep it a little fun and lighthearted in some places, but these are very serious topics because this is dealing with player safety. And I don't think a lot of people, especially out on the field, realize how dehydrated they are getting. They are full of adrenaline. They are out there having fun or locked in on battle, and they're not really realizing how much water they really need. So, before we charge into battle, sling spells, and quest through the sun-drenched lands of our kingdom, let's take a moment to talk about something that could truly make a difference between victory and a trip to the ER: hydration and heat safety. So let's go over a few things, like some helpful tips for if you want to be a hydrocrat yourself at an event, or recognizing the signs of heat exhaustion, how much water you really need, and what you can do to protect yourself and your fellow players, because the only thing that should be dropping on the field is foam. Okay, so, lost my screen here. So, first part is how to stay hydrated. It's kind of straightforward for the most part. You gotta drink some water once in a while. And plenty of it, and not just when you're out fighting, but also preparing your body to be able to handle the stress of being out there fighting or being out there in the heat, in garb, in armor, and just being outside this entire event. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, daily fluid intake recommendations, of course, are going to vary by age, sex, pregnancy, breastfeeding, and other factors, health factors. They recommend you start by drinking a cup of water each morning when you wake up, glass before bed, all that good stuff. Drink fluids gradually throughout the day. And on high activity and high heat days, take proper precautions and adjust your water intake accordingly. Knowing the signs of dehydration is super important. Does your skin feel dry, irritated, inflamed, itchy, sensitive? That's a sign of dehydration. Are you experiencing a headache or feeling dizzy or fatigued? These are signs too. Muscle cramps, rapid breathing, fainting, and not urinating or having very dark yellow urine are other signs as well. And if you're experiencing these symptoms, the simple solution would be to go, cool off, get out of the heat, and drink plenty of liquids. As we know, being outside in Florida, finding that cool spot is not always easy. So having a plan in place of safe places for people to go to cool off is important. There are small over-the-counter options like Pedialyte and Hydrolyte that balance out the electrolytes and sodium with that dehydration as well. Of course, if your dehydration is severe enough, you want to seek medical attention, call 911. Another really important thing, some liquids work against hydration. Things like coffee, sugary sodas, beer, wine, hard liquor, lemonades, teas, energy drinks, smoothies, flavored milks, they're all culprits. They're loaded with sugar, sodium, and other ingredients that actually remove water from your tissues. So you think you're taking in hydration and you're really not. You're taking it away. But proper hydration isn't just about drinking water. It's about regulating your body temperature too. So during the summer, when the risk for heat stroke is at its highest, try to wear light, loose-fitting clothing in light colors. I know we all go for the drip, we're trying to look our best out on the field, but you also need to think practically as well, because the more you sweat, the more water you are losing from your body. Keep things on hand like a spray bottle, because a light mist of water to your face helps tremendously. Keep a fan with you if you can. Another one that not a lot of people really think about is eating foods with high water content. So most of us like to snack during the day, and there are lots of foods that you can eat that have water in them already. So all fruits and vegetables contain some water, but things like cucumbers, celery, tomatoes, radishes, peppers, watermelon, etc. actually contain 90% of water. So while 80% of our water we take in is from drinking liquids, 20% is actually from the foods that we eat. Replenish when you sweat. Are you playing a sport, heading out on a hike, or fighting with wacky bats? It's essential to drink water through these activities. Your sweat rate, the humidity, and how long you've exercised are all factors to consider. Proper hydration means getting enough water before, during, and after exercise. Some really important numbers here coming up. What the American Council on Exercise recommends for guidelines during and after a workout for how much water you should be consuming. Drink 17 to 20 ounces 2 or 3 hours before you exercise. So let's start pre-gaming. Drink 8 ounces 20 to 30 minutes before you exercise. So, you're still taking in some of that water. And then the one that's really, really important that, again, our players, they're not thinking about when they're out there in the zone, you need to drink 7 to 10 ounces for every 10 to 20 minutes you're out exercising. That is a lot more water than what people think. But as you're sweating, again, you're losing water all the time, and you need to replenish. And then even after you're done, you still need to be drinking water. You still need to recover and let your body recuperate. Next thing I want to go into is knowing the signs, what to look for, what symptoms to look for when you're trying to assess if somebody has heat stroke, heat exhaustion, dehydration, things like that. Obviously, all these things are conditions caused by the body overheating. This usually happens because of exposure to high temperatures or physical activity in high temperatures for too long. There are a few stages of heat injury, and heat stroke is the most serious. It can happen if body temperatures rise to 104 degrees or higher. Heat stroke is most common in the summer months, especially here in Florida, where we've got a lot of sun and a lot of humidity. Heat stroke symptoms include high body temperature, a core body temperature of 104 degrees. Typically, we're at about 98 degrees, so 104 is pretty damn hot. Let's see. Also look out for a change in mental state or behavior. Confusion, agitation, slurred speech, irritability, delirium, seizures, and coma can all be a result from heat stroke. It is not something to take lightly. A change in a sweat pattern. What this means is in a heat stroke brought on by hot weather, the skin feels hot and dry to the touch. However, this isn't always the case because if you're out strenuously exercising, your sweating may be profuse. So you're kind of having to look at both things there, and you're going to have to use your best judgment in that case. It's definitely more common though for somebody to be drenched in sweat than it is for them to be bone dry. Another thing to look out for with heat stroke is nausea and vomiting. Somebody with heat stroke may feel sick to their stomach. Flushed skin. The skin may turn red as the body temperature increases. Rapid breathing. Breathing may become rapid and shallow, so somebody's gasping and wheezing. Definitely, take notice of that and see if that person is okay. Racing heart rate, their pulse is going to be through the roof. Headaches. If your head is throbbing, you're probably dehydrated and you can be on your way to a heat stroke. Again, one thing I didn't know until recently was that heat stroke can induce a seizure. Since seizures often present in different ways, some light research into recognizing the signs of a seizure and the best way to help a person actively in a seizure would be helpful. I'm not going to go into that. That's a whole nother topic. But if you think a person may be experiencing heat stroke, immediately seek medical help. Call 911 or your local emergency services number. Take immediate action to cool the person with heat stroke while waiting for emergency treatment. Cool the person with whatever means available. Get them into shade or indoors. Remove excess clothing. You can put them in a tub of cool water. Cool water is the key here. You don't want to put the body into shock by putting them in freezing water or pouring freezing water onto them. Cool or lukewarm water, always. You can fan them mist them with cold water, place ice packs or cold, wet towels on the person's head, neck, armpits, and groin. These are all places where blood vessels are very close to the skin, and cooling those areas helps cool your core temperature. Again, do not put somebody directly into freezing cold water. That is very dangerous. They could go into shock. One step down from heat stroke is heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion is a condition that happens when the body overheats, just like everything else. Heavy sweating and rapid pulse are, a lot of the symptoms. A lot of them are the same as heat stroke. It's just not as severe. But heat exhaustion can quickly lead to a heat stroke, but it is preventable. So you've got a lot of the same symptoms, like I said, cool, moist skin with goosebumps when they're in the heat. Somebody shouldn't have goosebumps if it's 110 degrees outside. So that's something that's odd to look out for. Heavy sweating, faintness, dizziness, fatigue, weak rapid pulse, low blood pressure upon standing. So if somebody stands up and suddenly they fall out and everything goes dark, there's a problem going on. Muscle cramps, nausea, headache. Again, a lot of the same stuff. Um, so a lot of these symptoms are the same, but it really is important to know them, especially because things like heat strokes can cause permanent damage to your brain, liver, kidneys, your heart. Ultimately, it can kill you, and it can kill you quickly. The last one here are heat cramps. This is on the lower end of the danger scale, but it can increase. Heat cramps are a painful muscle spasm that can happen during activity in hot environments. People who sweat a lot may be prone to heat cramps. That's because fluid and electrolyte loss that occurs through sweating often contributes to heat cramps. Heat cramps most often affect the muscles of the calves, arms, abdomen, and back, but they can happen to any muscle group involved in exercise. If you suspect you have heat cramps, rest briefly and cool down, drink clear liquids, electrolytes, do a gentle range of motion stretching and gentle massage of the affected muscle group, and don't do any strenuous activity for a while until your heat cramps go away. If they last more than an hour, seek medical attention from a professional. Ways to lower your core body temperature. It is possible to reduce body heat both externally and internally. Jumping into a cool pool is an example of external cooling, while drinking cold water is an example of internal cooling. So drinking cool liquids such as water or sports drinks can reduce the body temperature internally. Drink slowly. Drinking too quickly will not help and will a lot of times cause vomiting and other issues. Applying cold therapy to key points on the body, like I said earlier, those ice packs on strategic points really do help. Wrists as well. I forgot to mention earlier, your wrists are a good spot to put ice packs or cool cloths. And then another way to cool down your body temperature is to just stop moving as much. Your body releases heat when it moves, and in hot temperatures, a person is likely to feel less hot if they avoid a heavy exercise and limit their movement. That's not exactly ideal for our events because people want to be up and moving around, but we need to know our limits. So let's go into now some essentials for your kit if you want to be a hydrocrat. I typically like to have bottled water because it is more accessible to leave water stations out on far ends of the field and be able to actively hand water down the line of people. It does come with some environmental issues because it's plastic. So consider also having special bags for recycling to help reduce that environmental effect. But I do prefer to keep bottled water. The typical summer event, we have used an average of 24 cases for the full event. Ice, a cooler, a rolling cart has saved my butt on more than one occasion. I could not schlep around all that stuff without a rolling cart. Just would not happen. Ziploc bags for making ice packs. Again, get those arteries cooled down. Sunscreen and sunburn treatments. Those are very nice to have on hand because those heat injuries can get worse if you have a sunburn. You're just baking yourself at that point. Keep trash bags because you're going to have trash. People are going to hand you their bottles back. Separate them out and trash recycling. Keep a chair because you're going to get hot too and you're going to need to sit down and cool off. I strongly recommend keeping a first aid kit as well. I know we have dedicated med crats, but we're kind of working so closely together that it makes sense to also have a med kit. I just think it's a good idea. Your best practices as a hydrocrat. Number 1 is be alert. The most important thing by far is being aware of your surroundings and recognizing the signs of dehydration and overheating in other people. There will be players that will prioritize the game over their own health and safety. They may not realize they're doing it, or they may think, I'm invincible. It's just adrenaline. Not everybody's using their brain all the time, and it happens. If you notice that there's a player that you haven't seen drink water or take a break, take a mental note of that. If it starts to become apparent that they're not taking care of themselves, start by giving gentle reminders, offer them water, ice, etc. If you notice someone is dangerously close to heat exhaustion, heat stroke, don't be afraid to speak up. Player safety is paramount. It takes priority over everything. If you need help getting somebody to listen, don't be afraid to recruit the help of a Reeve or a fellow Krat. Get somebody who will make them listen if they're not listening to you, because ultimately it's player safety that's most important. Another really important thing that I have started doing at these events is setting up as many water stations as I possibly can. But as much as we would like to, we can't exactly duplicate ourselves to be in two places at once. So yeah, I might be on one side of the field and have my cart, but I really want to have water stations everywhere because I can't be everywhere and forcing people to drink water. Setting them up in strategic areas where there's a lot of activity is important. Remember that there will often be multiple tournaments or battle games running at the same time. Try to set up your cart and main supplies near the larger gatherings. There is a higher likelihood that you'll be needed by more people over there, just a numbers game at that point. But still stay mindful of all areas and check in periodically. If you need to, ask for a volunteer to watch over the other field if you need to. Another very important and often overlooked place to set up a water station is on the far side of the playing field. Not only is the team on the far side of the field going to have to walk further to receive water if they're overheated and they don't have easy access, but it also gives the team closest to the main water station an unintentionally unfair advantage. Because if Team A is more readily able to hydrate and take care of themselves more than Team B, way on the other side, Team A is going to end up with a lot more stamina and not fall out as quickly as Team B. We need to have water stations available for all sides of the field. Don't ask, tell. More often than not, if you ask somebody if they want water, they're going to hesitate and think about it, and half the time they're going to decline. They're like, no, I got a bottle of water over there, I'm fine. But be more assertive. Say, hey, here's a bottle of water, and just hand it to them. Don't ask them if they want it, give it to them. And yeah, some people are going to be stubborn, but a lot of time, again, the excitement and adrenaline will cause the person not to realize how bad a shape they are really in until it's too late. Be loud, make your presence known. People will need to know where you are. I'm sure you all heard me at the last event going, hey, I'm over here. It is easier to keep you hydrated than it is to revive you. My magic's not that strong yet. I can't bring you back from the dead. So be loud, let people know where you are. One thing that also was extremely helpful when we had a couple players that were well into the heat exhaustion stage was emergency AC. I brought my car up towards the field and I blasted the AC in the cab of my car, and anybody who wanted to sit in my car for as long as they wanted to in the AC was more than welcome to do so, and I gave them water, anything that they needed, and that really helped people cool down. It might be a good idea to have a rotating shift of people on standby to bring their car up towards the field if need be. It's a easy mobile AC station. And also, next, be knowledgeable. Before you take on the responsibility of caring for others or yourself, take some time to learn about the do's and don'ts of treating heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and dehydration. Giving misinformation and incorrectly treating somebody can be just as dangerous as not doing anything at all. And then, final words, stay cool, stay strong, and go on your noble adventures. The real secret weapon in your arsenal isn't a perfectly balanced sword or a devastating spell combo. it's water. Staying hydrated, taking breaks in the shade, and watching out for each other. We make sure everyone gets to keep playing, fighting, and having fun safely. Remember, nobody earns experience points for a heat stroke. So fill those bottles, check in with your fellow fighters, and treat your body like the legendary artifact it is. Because whether or not you're a first-time peasant or a seasoned warlord, we all need to drink water, respect the sun, fight hard, hydrate harder, and we'll see you out on the field. I'm done.
Thank you, Lokkea. That was amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
going into such detail. I know I feel pretty confident that if I needed to, I could run a hydrocrat now. Um,
Awesome.
Before we continue, is there any questions for Lokkea? I saw one person typing and then it disappeared. They're still, and I see two people typing now. So we're going to give them a moment.
Ooh.
If somebody wants to come off chat, they unmute, they are welcome to.
Didn't you say there were some questions that Jay had also put
there,
in the general chat?
there are, but those are, I'm going to have both of you at the same time.
Okay.
So right now, Excander is asking you, how much water do you usually bring to the field? And is that cases or is it bottles or what do we do?
So, do you mean for the whole event in general? If we're talking the whole event in general, it took right at 24 cases for the whole event this last mid rain. When we're talking about like where we're placing the specific water stations, I try to keep at least 2 or 3 cases at any given time over there, but I'm also constantly checking those stations to see when I need to refill and bring more cases of water over. Because I'm talking cases of water. I ain't bringing no individual bottles of water over. We're bringing full on cases. My car was full of cases of water.
Yes, Excander, that is 24 cases, also known as 24 flats of water that was brought out. Um, Barad, if I said that right, I hope I did, has a question. They ask, how do you know when to restock? As in, what's the limit? What's the number? So, if you didn't know you had to bring 24 cases, well, I'm like you did actually like, at the last event, you
I
had to run out and pick some up. So, when did you
Yes.
decide? All right, I'm definitely gonna be out, and I definitely need to go get more right now.
So I realized pretty early on when on the very first day we blew through almost all the cases of water already. I had originally brought 12. And I figured Winn Dixie's right down the road. It's not that big of a deal to go get more. So I was conservative with that number at first. When it started getting down to 4 or 5 cases of water that were untouched, that's when I start going, we need to go get more because we are getting into the hottest part of the day. We need to get more. Once it reaches that 4 or 5 mark, somebody needs to be going and getting more water now because if we run out, that's a bad thing. That's bad for everybody. Um, so yeah, 4 or 5 cases, you need to be scrambling to get more.
Okay, I like it. I like it. I see another person messaging. Uh, Looks like it's just a statement of Artemis says for everybody. I would recommend to bring refillable bottles and ensure it is full before going in for a fight, which I
Yeah.
think is a great idea, actually, for everybody to make sure that they are preparing themselves. Um, I both before and at the event taking care of themselves because we don't always have a hydration crat. We should, and maybe going forward we will, but there's no guarantee. Um, I see we have some more chats coming through. Going to allow 2, 3 more questions, and then we're going to swap over to letting Sir Bertrice have some words. because I think they wanted to focus more on what to do to prepare yourself coming to the event. So this is good. We're gonna have at the event and how to run it, and then before. Excander asks, do you bring liquid IV or similar, and when is Gatorade preferable to water? So let's start with the liquid IV. Do you bring anything like that?
So I unfortunately do not have the budget at the moment to bring more than water and ice and some basic first aid, because the last event was the first event that I asked for donations. So I have not been able to supply those yet. But when I would say a good rule of thumb is for every 3 or 4 bottles of water that you drink, you need to replace some of those electrolytes and the sodium in your body. You're sweating out so much the sodium in your body. You throw in some Gatorade or liquid IV, 2 or 3 times a day, maybe more if you're really sweating out there. Um, Another thing that I did forget to mention: pay attention when you're just hanging out by the fields waiting for somebody to need some water. You're not just sitting there idly waiting. You need to actually be paying attention to how long has somebody been out there. Great example, I believe his name's Worm. I hadn't fully gotten to introduce myself to him. He was out there for 20 rounds in one of the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I clocked that about 5 rounds in. I'm like, oh, he's been out there a while. 10 rounds in, I go, oh shit, he's gonna start falling out soon. By the time he was at 20 and was ready to come out, I immediately was right there with water and ice. Keep your head on a swivel and just look around. And pay attention. Being hydrocrat doesn't mean that you're just sitting around waiting for somebody to need something. It means being proactive and keeping an eye on everybody because they're not keeping an eye on themselves.
I like that. Gideon says pickles and pickle juice could be a lifesaver when you need those electrolytes.
Yes, yes,
And
the pickles. Yes, my personal favorite for electrolytes.
and since we're talking about electrolytes, everybody should already know this, but Brondo, it has electrolytes. It's what plants crave, and so do you. I think it's Brondo. I could be wrong, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to make sure that they're refilling those things up as much as possible. Excander says he drinks crow milk, which I didn't know was a thing.
Hey, now we did go over earlier that milk is one of the things that will dehydrate you, so no, sir.
All right. Sir Bertrice, are you ready?
Sure. I am actually going to present my screen and hope to God that this functions the way I really want it to. And I'm gonna make this bigger. Can everybody see it?
Let me actually share that on the screen here. No, I can only
No,
see
I can
your
only see
screen.
your screen.
You can't see the thingy.
I can see your Discord page.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Uh,
Hold on.
and there's a pretty significant echo.
Hold on.
I was gonna say for a moment there, our stream had streamception. It was great.
There we go. Okay, I didn't have it pulled up all the way, and so it wasn't. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Take it away.
So I really wanted to focus more on what you can do to prepare for the event, not as a hydrocrat, but as a human who requires a lot of fluids to survive. So the first question, and if any of you have been on the Kingdom page, you've probably seen this by now, but have you ever wondered why it is that salad sounds so good sometimes on a really hot day? And I don't mean like a regular salad, I mean like the bougie ones with all of the fruits and all of the goodness, because it's because those foods contain water. And your body is telling you, hey, lady, or gentleman, or person, they, them, whoever, you need it. Like, give me what I need. Okay. So, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but different fruits and vegetables are 20% of your daily hydration. It comes through food, and it is so critical to make sure that not only leading up to an event, but also all of summer in Florida, that you are being cognizant of what you're consuming in general. So I am eating a papadilla and am not at all abiding by my own advice here, because we're like, what, 3 days from Sunday? And Sunday's going to be hot. So, leading up to any long-term extended activity outdoors, you should be really cognizant of what you're putting into your body. And so we also talked a little bit about dehydration and what causes it to go quicker. And I actually want to point out that not only does sugar cause you to dehydrate in some instances faster, but also salt can. So if you are out on the field and you need rehydrated, salt will help you hold water. However, it can be a little bit iffy. You asked, at what point do you switch out? And the answer is less. You do less than what you think you need of the salt, of the sports drinks, of all of that, because in truth, it's contributing to your dehydration. It's why you can drink a whole Gatorade and still feel so thirsty. So added sugars, excessive amounts of caffeine. I know, alcoholic drinks. I know that's really hard, especially at our completely dry events. And then certain artificial sweeteners, so even sugar-free is not necessarily a good indicator, and very high amounts of protein. So like if you're highlighting like the carnivore diet and or like keto or low carb, high protein, you really need to be cognizant of consuming, water to counter those things. Something that a lot of people don't realize, and I want everybody to pay attention to this big red warning: take your medications. Do not use this as a reason to not do that. You need them. But you also need to know that some of them can exacerbate the symptoms of dehydration. And also, they can have additional effects, and I'm going to talk about those too. I did have a list of medications and kind of what you might expect to see from that, and then how you can manage those things, and I'll let you read those at your own leisure. But I, for one, am on antidepressants, but I'm also on other types of medications for other medical conditions. And I really want to point this out because so many people don't realize you could have sun sensitivity because of a medication you're taking. And that is so critical to know, because you will dehydrate faster than other people. You will experience far more severe, far more quickly. It happens that a lot of people come to our events, and I think I noticed this a lot more this time than ever before at our last event. We had people who weren't fielding in the walk-in cooler because they were overheated. I don't know what their conditions are. I don't know if they have any. And it's quite possible that, they were thinking, oh, I'm not being exhausted by heat because I'm not participating. But if they were, for example, on a medication like I am, and they were out in the sun and out in the heat, for any amount of time, that it could have just hit them way harder than it might have hit other people. So I really want everybody to be very cognizant of, what you're consuming, what you take on a regular basis that may add or exacerbate symptoms, and just know what you can do for yourself to make sure that you're not dehydrated. And so the next question is, what can you do to keep cool? We did not have them at this last event, but I can tell you as a board that we did vote to have a couple of more canopies. I think it was 3 in total, or maybe it was 2 in total, that are the bigger canopies, one for gate and one for the field, with additional hydration stations. We were unfortunately not in the place that any of us had wanted to be this time. Some of our water coolers did not make it to the event, and none of us could have anticipated that happening. But that was certainly something we had to overcome, and we're looking for better ways to manage that and make sure all of our supplies end up at the events every single time, so that it's a little easier on people. Obviously, we have access to showers at the site. Use them if you need to. As was stated earlier, wear loose light colored clothing, stay in shaded areas, take breaks, be mindful of the signs that were explained earlier. And I know it's not going to happen, but avoid strenuous activities during the hottest parts of the day. So definitely take lunch. Like, when lunch gets called at the event, go, even if it's just to sit there and relax. Don't over exhaust yourself just because. And I shared some really cool resources on the website and on our Facebook. And so I'm really hopeful that some of you can get that. Why is this being crazy? Some of you can, take advantage of some of those links, and hopefully that is somewhat helpful. I know that it's more towards you, but I think we put a lot of stress on the hydrocrat, and that is a new position. It's not something that we have had a dedicated resource with a budget, and it's really unfortunate that we did not have one this last event. But I really want to point out also that that was not a hot event for us. That is still spring. And while I am not at all suggesting that people shouldn't have been overheated, I just worry a lot about what August will look like, because August is going to be a hell of a lot worse, and it's going to be risky. I think we're going to maybe open gate a little early again, which means Friday, before anybody gets there, you have to take into account what you can do in advance to make sure that you're taking care of you. Don't leave it to the hydrocrat to bring your water. Don't leave it to the hydrocrat to bring something to cool you off. Buy cooling towels. I had a pack of them. I bought them on Amazon. It was like $30 for these really awesome neck things that swell up when you put them in water, and you just redunk them and they cool off. You wear them around your neck. It really does make all the difference in the world to help cool your bloodstream. Go in with your park and get some. They dry out. They're reusable. They were so good. They were so good at this last event in the kitchen. Not one of us felt heat exhaustion while cooking the whole time. And that is a really big deal, because that kitchen is not cold, like, at all. So I just be cognizant, be really, really informed about what you have to take, what you do consume, all of the things that, help you help them, because the more you take care of you, the less they have to take care of you. And it shouldn't just fall on them to make sure you're good. You should be adults. That's all I've got. I'm putting him to sleep. Can you He is putting our little one to bed, which I'm sure all of you had. So I am going to look at the chat and just see what else came up. You are more than welcome for me bringing them. I really like to just give things away. A few events ago, I don't know if all of you went, but when Cookie was taking office and I was leaving Regent office, for the cabins and the beds, I tried to like wrap cooling towels and stick them in hot dog wrappers because I really felt like that was way more useful than most of the stuff that we give out at events. As somebody who does sit on the board of directors, and I saw Bonbon is in here as well, please reach out to us if you have a idea or something else that we can buy to help support Hydrocrat. We are trying to push to make sure that Monarchy is taking those things into consideration. And Skippy also put together a really nice kind of breakdown of what both Hydrocrat and Medcrat should look like going forward. And please don't buy things out of pocket. We have money. We will reimburse you. We have Zelle. Don't spend your own money. We appreciate you for donating. Don't go broke for that. Don't do it. We had 4 cases of water that I used for my budget from the kitchen, and I had more budget to spend. I came in under budget, and nobody came to get those cases of water. So I was like, I have drink mix, I have Gatorade, I have this, I have that. Like, please come consume it. But I was in the kitchen the whole time and I couldn't be like, hey guys, why aren't you coming to get this? Because we found out that our walkies don't work in the kitchen. Like, we can't reach to anybody. So yeah, sorry, I rambled.
And one thing I do want to ask is who do we actually go to about the reimbursements and things like that? Because there was some conflicting information on whether or not there was actually a budget available for water.
So there may or may not have been. It should have been with the I want to say it's like the Warcrat. They usually get some budget as champion, but here's what I'm going to tell you as somebody who's been in Monarchy, as somebody who's on the board. We don't want people sick. We don't want people injured. Higure is our kingdom chancellor, KPM prime minister. Sorry, I have to think of the higher up names, and absolutely has the ability to access our bank and Zelle somebody money. And they also have a certain allotment as Monarchy members that they can use with no recourse, no necessary budget, none of that. So when I arrived at the event, I had to go get more stuff from One Dixie because I too was like, oh, it's just down the road. And they were like, hey, get Gatorade, get this, get that. And I had Crystal Light or something in the thing too. And so I think we sent somebody to buy 2 coolers because again, out of our like 4 water coolers that we normally had as a kingdom, only 2 of them made it to the event. So we ended up with 4 by the time we were done, but still not the best circumstances and certainly not helpful when we needed it most. And so the answer is find a member of Monarchy. They can get you money to go get water, first of all. Let me look at that question.
I do want to say I am extremely grateful for the people who did donate, and I did kind of bombard a little bit at the event a little bit because I was like, hey, we're out of water. I haven't gotten donations yet. I don't have money.
Yeah, no. That should have fallen. Go to the KPM.
Okay.
Go to the KPM. If the Monarch can't answer, they can, and they do control our money. And if they need somebody, I'm the vice president of our board until next year, so I will authorize whatever they have to. Artemis.
Yeah,
sorry.
Actually,
Artemis.
let me step in before we go into Artemis's question. Remember, you can also talk to your autocrat because, in my opinion, an autocrat should have some funds left over for whatever they need. And water is, I mean, it's the number one thing we need the most. So make sure that if you're trying to crat and you need reimbursements, and this is where I'm going to answer Artemis's statement too, your autocrat
Do
is
not answer it.
capable of helping you with this.
That's not the answer.
Okay.
Artemis, do not spend your own money on that. Robin, Sir Squire, is refilling our kingdom's medkit. Um, I think we were authorized, and Bonbon, please speak up if you know and I don't. Um, but I think we were authorized to get a second medkit, and that way two people had it. We have some extreme limitations on what we can do as an organization as far as medical care. Anything above a scratch, a bump, we really have to give to somebody else. Obviously, with heat exhaustion, if we can get you out of the heat, give you an ice pack, cool you down, great. Give you water, plenty of things. We cannot give medication. You can go ask your friends. They can give you medication. We cannot. So if you are medcrat, which I haven't looked at the list of who's cratting this time, but get with Sir Squire if you have anything specifically from the med kit that you want to make sure we have enough of. And that would be my best recommendation. I highly recommend getting with them. Do not spend your own money. None of our crats should be spending their own money. I cannot stress that enough.
That would be
That is
exactly.
correct. Yeah, no, we do not keep an EpiPen. I I love the people with allergies. I have them too. I am so deathly allergic to bees, and yeah, no, we do not keep an EpiPen. However, if you personally have an EpiPen, make sure that the people you know with you have an idea of where your EpiPen is kept and what signs to look out for if you personally have specific symptoms when you go into anaphylaxis. I know it should be apparent, but some people, their necks start to swell shut. Mine does if I take allergy medicine. Super fun. Um, like I just make sure somebody knows. It's kind of like if you are diabetic or something else and you have an emergency need for insulin, you have to make sure that somebody knows. You have to make sure that that person or someone else is nearby and is aware of where it is, especially like I'm going to use bees as the example because we might encounter those on the field. Make sure they know, because if nobody knows, you are less likely to get the treatment that you need as quickly as you need it. I would also say if you're asthmatic and you have an inhaler, make sure somebody knows where your emergency inhaler is. Just take care of you so they can take care of you. Help us help you. But we're not giving you meds.
All
You can
right.
have topical creams or band-aids.
Obviously, you should definitely trust the person who deals with money in this household, and not me. um, Now, I want to make sure we get to these questions because they were asked. In the other chat, we have Jay from Darkwater, and this is going to be to both of you this first question. How would you balance wanting to play my best in a battle game while trying to not overexert myself in the heat? And since we started with Lokkea for the presentations, I'm going to make Bertrice go with this one.
The only person who knows your body is you. Know your limits. Respect your body. Make sure you're taking in your sips of water. Make sure you're hydrated before the event. Don't be upset with yourself if you have to sit down, if you have to go cool off. If you are in a tournament, that tournament is not worth your life. So if you feel any exacerbated symptoms, take care of you. That is really the best advice that I think I can personally give. Know your body, know your limits, respect your body.
Thank you, thank you. What do you got for us, Miss Lokkea?
Um, yeah, that's amazing advice. Building on that a little bit, because I was a lot of the exact same thing that I would have said. Um, if you're concerned about, oh, well, if I'm taking care of myself, I'm not giving 100% out on the field. Well, you're not going to be given any percentage if you're, dead. So, doing your best does not mean going full throttle and injuring yourself in the process. You can do an amazing job out on the field by being strategic and conserving your energy and making sure you're prepping properly to take care of your body and keep yourself safe during those tournaments and those battle games. If you don't need to run to your target, walk instead. You know, it doesn't have to be full pace the entire time. Go stand off in the corner for a second if you can and catch your breath. Like, again, yeah, it's not worth your life.
Very, very true. At
So you
no
actually
point.
said something. I was going to say, you actually said something that brings up another thing that honestly we should also take into consideration. Um, Doing your best changes every single day. You may show up on Friday and give your best, and it may look entirely different than what you show up and do on Saturday or even a regular park day. That is why it is so critical that you know where you're at when you step out on that field. That's it. Sorry. Go ahead, Lyle.
I No, that is perfect. I think that was a great way to tie that one off. Any last words on that particular question? Okay. So the next question, and I'll let either of you answer this however you'd want. What would you say is the best way to cool off at park? So not at an event, but at your park when you don't have much besides maybe some water and maybe a tree or two, so a small amount of trees. What can you invest in for a park that could have a big impact?
Those cooling cloths are huge. They're not that expensive. If you have a cloth, really of any kind, but those cooling cloths are like supreme. Just take a cloth of some sort, wet it, and wave it around in the air a little bit, and it'll cool off. And you put it on those heat points. That'll help tremendously. And then making sure that you're just actually drinking enough water. You don't have to have all the fancy stuff in order to take care of yourself. I mean, you can go take a t-shirt and soak it in some water.
So I would say that added on to if you are looking for a park to expand and have a little bit more, something you could do is get a wet fan. There are fans, electric fans that you could buy that are designed to blow spritzes of water into the air just in front of the fan, which obviously would blow over you if you set it up right, and now you have a nice gentle mist cooling you down. And that's for those that have a little bit more money and it might not be able to affect as many people. I would definitely say get yourself some of those pop-up tarps, though. That's a great thing to have if for your parks. One or two 10 by 10, just something to add next to that tree so you have some extra shade. That's that's 10 feet of space that people are going to be able to relax in and cool down. Um, Beyond that,
And I think,
oh, go ahead. No, no,
go
no.
ahead. I'm sorry. I got ahead of
No,
myself for a second.
I was ending mine. So by all means, please.
I got a little excited there. Um, and the fans are a great idea. And even if you're in an area where you don't have power, like your park doesn't have an outlet, or you're not able to get a generator, battery, whatever that you need, something that'll also work is a spray bottle. Like, just put it on the mist setting and then fan yourself. Bring an actual, like, one of those fancy fans and bring them. They're great. It's
That
it's the analog version of that.
the hand fans at work. I know Hong Kong Pot and Barbecue actually gives those away when you're leaving. So if you need one, get
There
one from
we
them.
go.
And then of course it's Korean barbecue, so you should come out nice and full. There's our plug-in. No, no, I'm kidding. I just did that because that worked
This
out well.
video is sponsored by
Yeah, I hope
Yeah,
it
I
is
know,
now.
right? Hong Kong Korean barbecue and things they never even wanted as sponsors. So Artemis made a good point, sacrificing your persona for cooling garb or, just wearing something lighter. I will say I immensely regret wearing what I did to the day battle because I was dying and I am certain that I was exhausted at that point because I was mean and I was snappy and I am sorry. So that is my own plug. You'll never hear it again. No, I will say that linen comes in a lot of shapes and sizes, and not all linen is created equal as far as cooling goes. But right now, if you don't sew, if you don't have the time, if you just need something that is good for park days, go look at the swim section of like Walmart. I hate to say Target, Target, and some of the other places, because they have a lot of linen or very lightweight things that are designed for sun coverage, but also they are breathable and could really benefit you. And they kind of ish look garbish. I have a couple of things that I think would pass if I just threw my belt on with it. And that uh, that is something else. I know Bonbon has really fancy Under Armour. Sometimes more sun coverage is better. So, I mean, definitely, like for me, my medication makes me super sun sensitive. So, if I go out without a lot of coverage on, I'm going to be burned. And it is not pleasant. So, I highly recommend longer sleeves with the cooling elements in them. I cover yourself. Don't care about the bit. Like, don't put on 10,000 pounds of makeup and swelter all day. We all want to look like a really cute goblin. It's okay to not look like a really cute goblin if it means that you walk away from the field that day. Um, so yeah, that definitely those things. As far as what you can invest in for your park, you guys have already said canopies. That is a really big thing. I did find that on Amazon they have a super cool like rechargeable fan that hangs in the top of canopies. It's only like $30. And I'm like, you know what? For $30, I'm willing to try that. Because it does get pretty sweltering under our awning. Like there's just no breeze under some of those, and it's just real hard. Um, I think some personal investments you can make for yourself for sure are the cooling spritzer bottles. The neck thing that he was talking about, there's like a almost like headphones, but they have fans in them. They sell them at hardware stores and other things. I saw them literally at Home Depot when my car broke down the other day. So for sure accessible, under $30, but like we're all broke amped garters, so like don't go broke doing the things. Go to a thrift store. People throw away stuff like nobody's business, especially electronics, and I'm sure more than one person has tossed away a really nice water bottle or something that is built for a heat that you could use and implement into your regular routine. So
It's also a great place to find fabrics that you can use for garb and look for the things that are your natural fibers rather than synthetic, because natural fibers will breathe better. While, yes, there are, the different levels of linens and everything like that, ultimately, natural fibers are going to be better than synthetic rayons, polyester things. They don't breathe at all. They may feel light. They're not. They're going to trap in all of that heat.
That's what made me miserable.
Yeah.
I wanted to look cool, and instead I felt miserable. And
You look cool, you feel cool.
yeah, yeah. I wanted both, and I got one, and because our car was overheating on the way back, so like it was like all the windows were down because we were trying not to run a lot of things. It was a mess, and I do not recommend it to anybody. Do not go on and look for the pretty huntress dress to go out and field in during this time of year. Wait until like December, January, and wear it for the 1 week of winter that we get, and then be happy. So
And also, for the love of all that's good in this world, if you're gonna wear any type of armor, whether it's leather, metal, whatever, please put a layer on underneath of it, just a thin linen or something, so you don't end up with an awful heat rash from the leather and metal directly against your skin.
there's that too.
Yeah.
There's that too.
Yeah.
All right. Only have one more question so far, and this one I'm going to actually answer on my own, because it is. Is there going to be any accommodations at Kingdom for the upcoming event in August, for heat such as longer breaks or cooling stations? Um, and will there be blue strips for armor brought physically but not worn be permitted, aka the summer armor rules? Both of those questions are actually at this time being decided upon. I know for the summer armor rules, the answer is no. They will not be following the summer armor rules at the event, um, just due to having so many people that the Rees have to already watch and trying to keep things more even. Um, on the breaks and how to handle that, that the war team is still working on and does not have a full answer of. But that is solely on the job of the war team to hammer out and figure out what they want to do.
As a not war team person, I already let you guys know that we did authorize on the board of directors the purchase of extra canopies for cooling. And so there will be a station, at least with some extra shade and a place for water to be kept. That I can assure you.
All right. Well, any other questions, comments, or statements from the crowd? Looks like Artemis might have one. Do 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 do. Glad at least one person started vibing with that. Thank you. While
I'm
they're
not
type,
giving you enough credit.
there you go. Artemis says, "I will." Our Madcrat is letting us know that they will be wearing red and white. If you need to find her, that she will be happy to help. She's also working on a red and white sash. So, and that again, medical. So everybody knows where to look for anything related to medical injuries. While Fert is typing, last statements from you, Lokkea.
Just be smart, listen to your body, and if somebody is concerned for you, listen to them. Just listen to others, listen to yourself, and just do what you need to stay safe.
I like that.
Sorry, I read the comment and said red at the same time.
I did too. I'm also not going to be stating that one out loud, mainly because
No,
that's a conversation between them. But thank you, Lokkea. Yes, listen to yourselves, listen to your friends, everybody. Um, you know when you are not right, so make sure to pay attention, even
I
if
don't
it.
want to quote a Snickers commercial, but like I'm going to. You're not you when you're hot. You're not you when you're overheated, and it's cool to be big mad and like walk off the field in a pissy mood as long as you go do what they're telling you. Because like last thing you want is to be thrown off the field for being an asshole because you're hot. Like I should have probably been thrown off for being angry. But like again, I'll never admit it again.
And I will happily take the brunt of somebody being pissed off at me because I make them go cool off and get water. I'm like, you can be mad, but at least you're alive.
Yeah, be mad, be big mad, and you can get cold in the big mad pants you were in when you started. Um, so Fert actually asked a really great question, and as somebody who builds a lot of weapons, I can definitely answer that. Um, yeah, checking weapons is so important after they've been out in the heat. Certainly do not be leaving your items out in like direct sunlight. I tell everybody to bring them indoors when they can, solely because you don't want the damage that comes from. I cannot speak to the tech behind other people's arrows. I don't personally think that mine would be as impacted by heat as some others would be based on, construction I've seen from other stuff. But I will say that I still care about mine and I like them picked up and put away before I'm off the field or even before the next round starts in games. Like I don't want them sitting there. Mostly because they get stepped on. And I would much rather replace a head than a shaft at this point because you can't just buy one. Or you can, but like good luck. So that's my 2 cents. I will say that we've seen a lot of failing weapons. I don't know how much the heat has contributed to that at our park, but we have seen quite a few of them. So
Loki, you got anything to say about weapons and stuff?
Not my forte, so
Got it.
I'm gonna stay out of that one.
That's
The only
okay.
thing I would say to contribute is pick them up so somebody doesn't trip over it and get hurt.
Um, that's completely fine. I completely understand. Since we have shifted from hydration and staying hydrated into weapon safety and care, um, yes, keep them in the shade as much as possible. Don't leave them in your car. I guarantee you, your car is going to get hotter than the grass on the field, at least 10 degrees. It is at least 10 degrees. Even if you crack a window, it's still much hotter there. Um, with that stated, we mainly came tonight to talk about hydration, what you can do to help yourself, and how to run it, or be a good hydration crat. So I want to take this time to again thank our guests, Lokkea and Sir Bertrice. You both have been very good, very knowledgeable, um, and I think we've got to just about everything tonight. So thank you again.
Thank you. It was awesome doing this.
please take care of yourselves. And thank you for tolerating me as your wife, and allowing me to ramble for a bit. Um, no, I seriously, guys, I think that the most important thing is taking care of you so others don't have to take care of you later. And God forbid something really bad happen. None of us want that. None of us. And I don't just say that from like a legal standing because I'm on the board. Like we love and care about you, even if you're peanuts and you don't take care of yourselves. So,
Please
anyway.
don't traumatize us.
All right.
Yeah, like don't add. We have enough trauma. We don't need you.
Right?
Like,
We don't
okay.
need to add more medications on after that, okay?
No,
I'm taking
no,
over.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
Anyway.
So I'm going to close it here after a final statement, which I think everybody can chime in on what I'm probably going to say as my little statement for the night. Be safe and remember, hydrate or dihydrate. And thanks for joining us.